The notice of this meeting is provided to the Westfield Leader, advertised on January 4th, 2018. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger, prominently posted on the municipal bulletin board, filed in the office of the municipal clerk, informing the public in time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231 PL 1975. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. At this time, I'd like to suspend the regular order of business to make 2 presentations tonight. Okay, tonight we have a Healthy Eating National Nutrition Month 2018. Whereas food is a substance for life sustaining, and whereas the type, quality, and amount of food that individuals consume each day plays a vital role in their overall health and physical fitness, and whereas there is a need for continued nutrition education as a wide-scale effort to enhance healthy eating practices. Now, therefore, I, Charles Lombardo, Mayor of the Borough of Barwood, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2018 as the National Nutrition Month of the Borough of Barwood. Whereas I encourage all citizens to join the campaign to become concerned about their nutrition of others, in the hope of achieving optimal health both today and tomorrow. Adopted March 18, March 13, 2018, approved, Charles Lombardo, Mayor.
Thank you. Oh, sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming tonight. It's a real privilege to actually speak here. I am Victoria Colonnese. I am the dietitian at the ShopRite at Garwood, so just right around the corner. Didn't realize I could probably walk here. Parking was a lot worse. No, it's okay. I want to thank you for proclaiming this month as National Nutrition Month. I'll just say a few words about the actual campaign itself. It's a campaign that's been going on now every year through the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is the credentialing agency for registered dietitians in America, and they are pretty much the voice when it comes to nutrition across the board. This campaign focuses on helping people make informed food choices and developing sound eating and physical activity habits. This year, the theme is Go Further with Food, which is really apropos at this time for many reasons. Whether it's starting off your day with healthy breakfast or fueling before or after an athletic event, the foods you choose can really make a difference. So to go further with food, you can prepare foods in advance, plan ahead a little bit, meal prep, so that you reduce food waste and food loss, which is a big component of this year's theme. Sustainability is a part of this year's theme as well. Also, urging not just consumers, but also corporations to cut back on food waste. Something that ShopRite does daily, actually, with saving food scraps and donating them to local farms. So some key messages I would like to touch upon are, including a variety of helpful foods from all the different food groups on a regular basis. Storing food correctly to help reduce food waste. And realizing the benefits of healthy eating by consulting with a dietitian. As a dietitian at ShopRite, it's a pretty cool, honestly a privilege of a job that I have. I offer free nutrition services to any customer who wants it, to the employees that work for ShopRite as well. I also do a lot of community programs, which are free for the most part. A lot of stuff in the community, whether a group can request me to come speak at their event, something like this. I do a lot with the community as well. I do store tours, helping shoppers with dietary restrictions, which is a real problem nowadays, and delivering evidence-based nutrition messages to people. Some specific ways which I've collaborated with Garwood and also just the local community, the Westfield community, Cranford community as well. I've helped Charles with the Mayor's Wellness program, having healthy store tours at the store for different age groups. I've done a lot with the scout troops in the local area. School nutrition classes. I led a nutrition study group for the YMCA for 7th grade students participating in the Health Beat. I've done nutrition presentations at local newcomers clubs. I presented to the Golden Agers, Cedar Citizens Club. I've written articles on healthy eating for local publications like Senior News as well. There are many ways in which I would also like to help in the future, so please feel free to reach out to me, contact me, to collaborate with me, to come up with some ideas. Kind of anything and everything I can do for you, hopefully. So also, here tonight, just really enjoyed a healthy snack that I brought straight from the company called Bonitos. It's a very good snack, high protein snack. I also have a bunch of other materials that I will provide. Something like the dietitian recipe booklet that comes out every 2 months. I also have a tip sheet here. Another sheet explaining my services. Again, it's free. You just have to contact me and get in contact with me, schedule an appointment, or discuss some ideas. I also have a recipe for the meal of the week, which is every week at ShopRite. This week is the St. Patrick's Day themed one. It's a healthy meal. And I also have my calendar of healthy month, or healthy events this month. And I also have 2 flyers about 2 different classes coming up. One for kids this Saturday and one for adults this coming Monday. So please take a look at those. And thank you again very much for having me here today. Okay.
I just want to say that I've taken some classes with Victoria. She's a great cook. She treats us well at the class. I also like to, at this time, present you with Office of the Mayor Certificate Award. Victoria, professional registered dietitian and nutritionist located at ShopRite in Garwood, has been very instrumental in structuring our Mayor's Wellness Campaign with classes for children, adults, and seniors. For our community, she offers multiple programs at Garwood ShopRite, such as Eat Well, Be Happy, tours of the store, and alternate health food choices of all ages. Thank you, Victoria, for encouraging all citizens to become concerned about their nutrition in the hope of achieving optimum health today and tomorrow. Charles Lombardo, Mayor of Garwood.
Thank you.
Yes, I can take a photo.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Thank you,
Great.
sir.
Thank you, appreciate that as well. So, otherwise it's over.
I want to be tall.
Yeah, let's do that.
It's slender. Key, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Take one more.
We have to get out of here by midnight, come on.
Really, Charlie?
That was
Thank
a
you so
joke.
much.
Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone. I will leave all my materials over here. Please take a look. And if you're in ShopRite, definitely come stop by and visit me. Just stop by customer service and ask to speak with me.
Thank you.
Thank you very
much. Okay, we'll continue our regular business. Mr. Renaud, do you have anything for us this evening?
Yes, Mayor.
Excuse me,
Yes.
on the agenda, Mr. Disco's first. Isn't he?
Not on my agenda.
Really, nobody has the workshop, no, it's not special.
You're the best.
The staff was told that.
You can go first as far as I'm concerned.
No, he'll be
Mr.
here.
Disco goes
You might
first,
have to
so
be.
Tomorrow it's gonna be, what happened, mine says Mr. Disco. Anyway.
I do first.
I won't be one.
Oh, you're in the new
I have,
That's right.
I have received, as you have, I believe, the, I'll call it the bill, it's actually a letter, but the bill from the Rolling Valley Sewerage Authority. So, on an annual basis, when we get that bill, I take a look at what your current industrial sewer user charge is, and usually make a determination whether it should be raised or not. So in this case, because the assessment from Rolling Valley went up by 10.03%, my recommendation is that the charge, which we base solely on flow, although the Rolling Valley bills us by flow, BOD, and solids, we don't have any way to quantify BOD and solids for our industrial users, so we sort of roll that charge into the flow. So I have drafted an ordinance to increase the charge per million gallons of flow from $3,425 to $3,768.50, which is the same percentage as the percentage of the increase to the borough of the Norway Valley assessment. So if you are in agreement that that should be done to match the increase to the borough, as I said, that ordinance is ready to go, and the borough clerk can introduce that for you at the next meeting.
Do we have consensus on that increase?
Yes, that's what it was.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
That's
I have a
it.
question, I have a question.
Yep.
And this is industrial properties.
It's anything, it's non-residential, anything other than residential.
All right, so it doesn't get passed over to residential.
It doesn't get passed
Okay.
over to residential, specifically says non-residential.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Renata at this time? Hearing none, Mr. Tedesco? Tedesco?
That is familiar.
Yeah, right?
The things I can report on before we go into special session are, we had the resolution to award to J.D. Raganese Construction for the repair of the 3 handicap ramps on East Street, or Beach Ave and East Street. I spoke to Mr. Raganese, and he was going to coordinate with the police and try to schedule that for the spring break week when the school's off.
Very good.
We had some issues with a complaint by a resident on Fourth Avenue regarding an adjoining property owner who was had roof drains directed towards his property. We were attempting to find a letter that was written in the last year by the previous engineer. In the interim, the affected property owner called and reported that the other property owner who was creating the nuisance went out there and cleaned the roof drain lines, and right now that it's took care of itself, but could reoccur in the future. So I told him I would look, after the snow's gone, I would look at it, and if there's a need to report anything other than that, we'll address it at that time.
Anything else?
I don't have anything practical.
Thank you. That's a good thing. Any questions from council?
Executive session, it's gonna be about, just for everyone's, Broadway Valley.
Okay, Ms. Ariema?
No report, Mayor.
Any new unfinished business? Any new business? I have a couple items this evening. I would like to personally thank the DPW, police, fire, and all the emergency personnel during the past difficult snowstorm of the 7th for a job well done. At one point, 80% of the north side of town was out of power. An organizational meeting of the 4th annual Garwood Rocks event was held this morning. Thanks to Carol Carney, our business liaison. Just a reminder, Garwood Rocks will be held on Sunday, June the 3rd, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. A rain date of September the 9th has been planned. Currently, there are 47 vendors signed up, and they're anticipating about 150 to join the group. The Kids Zone is planned to be held at the YMCA/Washington School site. The car display is anticipated to be more than 200 cars. Live music will be available throughout the day. Also, the Wilder Beer Garden. The next organizational meeting will be held in May to review all the final details of the day. An RVSA representative visiting Garwood has been rescheduled to April the 10th. Also, an update of the tour of the RVSA facility is being planned. They're requesting a few dates for a schedule of the tour. We can discuss these details at the next meeting, but please check your calendar. And they are amenable to have Saturday visits. This Saturday, March 17th, is Mayor's Saturday. It will be held at Home Depot, located on South Avenue. I have invited Councilwoman Sarah Tedesco to join me. Please stop by and to express your concerns or just chat with us. As noted before, the Mayor's Wellness Campaign 3K Walk with the Mayor has been rescheduled to Saturday,
March 24th at noon, starting at Borough Hall. Please come out and support this activity. Break for all ages. Please bring a friend or a neighbor. So that's all I have for this evening. Thank you. Moving on, comments or matters for discussion from members of council. Council President Blumenstock.
Thank you, Mayor. I first just would like to echo the mayor's thoughts and thank all our first responders, the police, fire, and first aid squad, as well as the DPW for all their hard work during and after last week's snowstorm. They were just phenomenal, and my hat's off to them. And a thank you as well to the Office of Emergency Management, which kept our residents up to date about the storm on social media. The office played an important part last week, as it always does. So I have an update about the street sweeping that we discussed at the last council meeting. Everything has been worked out in the contract, and Fanwood will be providing us with street sweeping as a part of the agreement. This will be at no cost to us in dollars or labor, and we will be getting the same service that Fanwood receives. Also, I would like to ask the council to give permission to our administrator to begin the process of renewing our public works shared service agreement with Fanwood, which, as you know, is up shortly. The majority of the Streets and Roads Committee recommends 2-to-1 that we authorize that process to begin. We have seen that this shared service has saved us money, both in salary as well as equipment, and the newly agreed upon street sweeping is an even bigger added bonus. So, Mayor, if you would open this to council.
Yes, council, we have an opinion about the continuation of this shared service with Fanwood.
I have something to add. I mean, did it ever occur that maybe we could go out for other bids? Can we?
Well, with all due respect, I do kind of take, umbrage with that, is that for the past 3 years we've been in it, nobody's just,
Well, you
brought
shouldn't take
that up
any,
or.
it's not an insult. It's
Well,
a
not to
question.
me personally, I'm just saying it's, this is, for 3 years we've been in this and nobody's ever brought that up or, so to bring it up
I think it was brought up.
now.
I think it was brought up.
But
I mean, I'm just- I'm
no
sorry.
action was taken.
Well,
There was,
never-
nobody was proactive in it.
No action could be taken. We
It
couldn't do
wasn't
anything about it.
discussed.
I mean,
Yes.
I have no problem with, putting it out there. And how many, what is Fanwood's schedule for street sweeping?
They will be doing it, it turns into about a monthly schedule. That's about, they do about 4 times per season for Fanwood, and they'll be doing the same for Garwood.
Anyone else?
Yes, with all due respect to Councilwoman Blumenstock, I was not here for the last 3 years, so as a new councilman, I don't understand why we can't go out and search for a new type of contract. Maybe we can get something better, maybe we can, but it doesn't hurt to go out and look for something other. That was why I voted no, so that's what you were talking about with the one vote, that was me. So I don't have a hard time with doing some research and going out and looking at other municipalities to help Garwood out. That's my comment, thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
It's a great idea. I'll actively look to see what else we can do. I've been doing that, just hasn't come to fruition just yet. But I think that we should give it some more time, and I don't think we should
I think that's
take
a-
action right now.
I believe that's the activity of the committee, that it's a 2-to-1 vote.
Well, it's not up until August, right? So there's no real emergency right now to do it.
Well, it is a process that does need to begin. We have to go to Fanwood, they have to come back. It does take, so to do it and wait until the summer, it wouldn't be responsible. We could be left holding the
Well,
bag on that.
I also think it's, I definitely am not necessarily opposed to considering other options, of course. I think the other issue is what specifically, if we question, every single thing that every contract that we have, okay, when we have successful or generally speaking reliable services. So is there specific things that you guys are saying, we're not happy specifically with the deal because of X, Y, and Z? Then maybe we can have a discussion about what other towns could offer us that currently this deal doesn't offer. So what are you specifically saying, I don't like about this shared service agreement that we want to find somewhere else in another town?
Well, what I don't like about it is the street sweeping has been an issue for 2 years, but now that you're gonna wanna renew the contract, now they're gonna propose more street sweeping. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with finding out if there's anybody that maybe can give us more service, or possibly it could be cheaper. It's free to find out, I just don't see anything wrong with it, that's all. That's how I feel about it anyway.
As far as the concept of more service and the street sweeping, I think we just have to look a little bit at the recent history of this. Garwood has a street sweeper. It had worked in the past. It's something that over time, not in the last 2.5 years of the shared service agreement, but even prior to that, residents will talk about, well, 10 years ago, my streets got swept all the time, and then progressively over time, it got less and less. And also our equipment got older and older and less reliable. So 2 years ago, it was working when we first got into the arrangement, but of course it was older equipment. Last year, it's my understanding from Council President Blumenstock's reports last year that our street sweeper went out there, it did the north side, but then it went down time and time again. They would have it looked at, but it really couldn't get fixed in an economical way, and essentially we're at a point now where we'd have to buy a new one, which could be upwards of $200,000. So here, Fanwood will do it at no additional cost to the agreement, just as much as they do in their own town of Fanwood. And that's more than Garwood has received in the last several years, even more than the last 2.5. So I think that's an improvement there. Also, in terms of the facts of this agreement, in a total of 3 years, Garwood's looking at a savings of over $200,000 in salary and benefits. Also, countless other dollars in equipment. Just to list some things, I mean, their sweeper has been here in the past. It's the reason why our south side was swept last year after our sweeper totally went down. They brought their vacuum here, bucket truck time and time again. They gave us a sidewalk plow to use. They've helped us with our irrigation system at the rec complex. So we have gotten a number of pieces of equipment over here and other assistance to help us in a pinch. And also, you know, looking back 2.5 years ago, I think a lot of the residents that had questions and had concerns were very valid. You know, that kind of change can certainly scare people, and I think, you know, reasonably so. And but what it's proved is, you know, look, our same labor force is picking up garbage time and time again. They are you know, plowing our roads, doing a great job. They're out there picking up our leaves, doing the various different tasks of the DPW. So our service has not changed, and in fact, you could almost argue that it's gotten better because of the use of various equipment. So I wouldn't want to see our DPW become a revolving door of management, and if it's not broke, then I don't want to fix it. And I want to keep the agreement. That's why I'm in support of it, for all those reasons.
It looks like at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, they'll have a 2-3 time to go forward. That,
Yes.
I think,
Yeah, if I can say one more thing, and hopefully you can make sense of this. I was given this proposal 2 days ago. You can shake your head all you want. I got this
We got an
proposal 2
email
days
weeks
ago.
ago.
Ms. Ariema, when did you send that email with the agreement for everyone? And that went to everyone, right?
Yeah, I don't recall.
Number of
I don't
weeks.
know if it went to everyone. Did you send this to Streets and Roads?
I received it, and I'm not on that committee.
I don't remember seeing it.
So now you're asking us tonight to make a decision on something that I feel I only received 2 days ago. And I don't think that's fair to myself, to all the council people, and to the borough. I don't think that's fair. So I don't really see a big,
Actually, I have it.
I don't see a big problem with just reaching out to some other
Can I
town
ask who's
and
reaching
figuring this
out?
out.
Who's reaching out?
It's not a matter if it's
I
everybody.
sent it to everyone on February
It's not a
14th.
who, it's not a
No,
does.
what
because
date
we
was
all
that?
say,
February
like, there's
14th.
3 people
No.
here.
One at a time, please.
There's 3 people here saying let's research, but who's going to do the research is my point.
One of us.
For 3 years, it's been a sort of, for some reason, you know, there was this sort of, campaign against the shared service, and then all the fears, sort of like Councilwoman Tedisco said, were unfounded. And yes, it would be brought up, as you said, maybe, you know, some contention about it, but then nobody ever did anything about it. And we did get an email weeks ago. I have to say, Councilman McCormick, I do dispute that. We got an
I don't
email
remember
that it was coming up. So,
well, I think it's a point there where I have to say something. I think from day one, I've always been a proponent of this shared service from day one, even when we first signed the agreement. I think it's a good working agreement, we benefit financially, equipment-wise, and I think the service has been very good. And if it comes to a tie vote, I will support it.
But what is the harm in reaching out?
I ask again, who is doing this work? And what exactly are you going to ask them for?
Pretty simple, we will just take Fanwood's contract and review whatever borough we are seeking out and looking for their advice. It's pretty simple, it's straightforward. It's pros and cons, that's it.
Whoa,
Calm down.
what's the gavel here?
I told the man to calm down.
I don't think I'm getting excited, I'm just saying, how to review a contract.
Okay.
You know, apples for apples, let's see what we're getting. I don't think it's a big deal, I don't think you need to know which council person has to do this.
Well, we do, because we have to, again, I don't want this to become a sort of football that's tossed around and then nothing's done.
There's
So,
some blame here, how about this, Mayor? Can we make a deadline here as to when we have to get certain proposals in, and then at that point on, make a decision? I think that would make sense from an executive point of view, not.
I'd like to,
I think that the first point is the council president mentioned, who's gonna do the work? I mean, it's easy to say.
I'm gonna do some work, there's no question about it, there you go. Put my name on it, I don't care. Go down Joe Sarno, that's what it's about, I'm gonna, it's all about accountability.
Councilman, with all due respect, you've been on the council over 2 years, and it could always be any individual that wants to be proactive with an issue. The fact is, we got the email on February 14th, despite many of us already knowing when the shared service agreement would be up in this summer, and we had a council meeting, second council meeting in February, no one brought it up. So here we are tonight, first meeting in March. My concerns about going out there would just be, just to put this on the radar, would be, you know, how far in distance are we talking about in terms of exploring other towns? Also, are we looking for, when, it's interesting with the negotiating, because yes, you're right, we have an existing contract with Fanwood, so it's very simple, you take that to another town, as you said. Except, another town comes in $5,000 less, does that automatically mean you're going to shift the Department of Public Works to another town to supervise and offer their equipment in the same manner, or allegedly in the same manner that Fanwood will? That's just what I would like to know, because I wouldn't want to see our Department of Public Works end up being run by a different superintendent every 3 years. Because once you burn a bridge with one town, you might, and then burn it with the second, you might not be able to go back.
Well, obviously, nobody wants to do that. I mean, it's just, it's
Well, that's,
something,
honestly, that's refreshing to hear.
well, I
So,
mean, nobody wants to burn a bridge.
Mhm.
But I don't see anything wrong with investigating. I don't see anything wrong with it at all. At the end of the day, you know, we could very well vote 6-0 for the shared service. And basically, it wasn't brought up because there wasn't the votes to, quite frankly, overturn it. We didn't have the votes to
how do
it.
we know that though, if it's not brought up?
We did.
Technically, we don't know.
Councilwoman Tedisco, any tie votes obviously were not put forward to people that didn't agree with it to begin with.
I don't know, I just don't subscribe to the same philosophy. If I want to put something forward, I'll put it forward even if I think it will fail. I think it's worth, it brings up a dialogue, it puts, you know, people accountable to
It's
voting.
such a-
So
like I
I wouldn't
said,
just give up because we have different party labels. It's not about
I'm
party.
not talking about, it's not
So-
about the party at all. That's not the way I feel about things,
We're not
period.
supposed to have private conversations up here,
This-
this is an open forum.
I still, and I'll say exactly what I was speaking to the mayor about, I still don't know who's bringing this contract and then going to report back. There has to be a centralized person, and
Well, Councilman Sarno said he would do it. The streets and roads do it.
I'll go to Cranford.
I'm very hesitant to go down this path, because I feel like this is becoming sort of, again, it's any time that there's something to do with the Department of Public Works, it becomes very contentious. And again, I was really hoping we were going to move away from that. I see the success over the past 3 years. I don't think anybody, you know, any of our residents can say that it hasn't been a success. I think all the fears that were originally there were unfounded. And I don't want to see the DPW become a political football in this.
Councilwoman, you're the one that keeps bringing that up. There's no way that I'm trying to make the DPW a contentious thing at all.
We have, do we
They
also
do a
have?
great
to-
job.
We
Well,
also have to.
if they're
remember-
doing a great job, and we're all in agreement that things are going well, why do we want a revolving door?
You just never know. That's
I
all.
just,
I'm just gonna just say one final thing about this, which I personally think that Fanwood, the deal has been very successful, and that's the reason I'm going to continue to support it. I don't understand why we need to change something that's not broken, that's been working, and we're getting more stuff. To me, that's what makes sense, that's all.
And as far as investigating goes, I think this needs to be out there that when Council President Blumenstock mentions that, in a sense, this department is targeted time and time again, you don't see us investigating dispatch every single year. You don't see us investigating municipal court every single year. Even at times, for example, the building department, the last time with the contract, it was just extended to Cranford. And then this go round, we did, as a committee, worked on it, and we decided to stay with Cranford. But I'm saying the time before that, it just, continued that way. So it's not, these issues are not investigated every single year, always, targeted. It's just this one.
Well, answer this for yourself. Why was Cranford chosen again?
Why
For
was,
the building department, why was it chosen?
well, that was contract negotiations, and the council members discussed that in executive session, and we had our reasons.
Right.
Actually, that contract wasn't up, we were just trying to change it. We were going to have to, we were going to have to exit it.
Thank you for correcting the record on that. But we were having the conversation and dialogue. And then we were, as a committee, we worked on it. We brought it to the full council when we had something. And the full council made a decision, so.
I mean,
Without
the thing is,
going into
I'll
every
say
detail
one
about
final
it.
thing on dispatch, public defenders, any of that. The DPW is a huge part of our town. So when things come up, nobody's questioning dispatch. Who's questioning the public defender? This is just something that's always in the forefront of all of our minds.
But we're questioning our contract, we're not questioning the DPW, let's straighten that out
Okay,
first.
all right.
Second of
That's
all,
right.
I think we have the superintendent that comes with this shared service, who does a great job, he knows the town for the last 16 years, and I think we should go forward.
That's why we're.
So it's like 5 months in advance? We're good?
as I said, there is a long process to this, so that's why this was brought to our attention so much earlier.
I need to know more details on the long process.
If you direct me, I would reach out to Famwood to see if they're agreeable to renewing or continuing a relationship with us. They would answer me, then I would tell you their answer. They may have terms and conditions that are different, you would discuss them. So you can only discuss things at a council meeting. So there's, 6 before this expires or something like that? So,
I think you're bringing out a good point, we should reconfirm with family if they want to continue
well,
this.
you had to direct me to do that.
Sarah Ann, would you please do that?
Okay, very well.
Then we can discuss it in another.
That's perfect.
So I would just like to make the suggestion, if we're going to discuss this at our next meeting, then if there are any individuals on the council that want to work on this, then take your 2 weeks and I'm not stopping you. We all are individuals here, and we can do what we feel we want to do with that. We can't make any promises on behalf of the town, of course, but
No, I understand that.
if you want to do your
She's-
individual
Right,
research.
and she's moving forward on it, so, and we have to first find out, obviously, if they want to renew it,
Okay.
and at what cost.
Is this not the process of why we are elected to council? To see what's best for our community? So
Yes.
why is it not fair that we can't reach out and ask for somebody? I don't
We
understand
can, but
this.
the committee process came out.
Please,
too
can
long.
we do this? Thank you.
I believe a few of us have already said yes to that. Any individual can.
Have anything else, Council President?
Nope, that's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Councilwoman Kukrow?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a few things. Number one, I would like to know who is in charge of making sure that when people are approved at the planning board for non-conforming use variances or any other type of variance, that the applicant is being monitored for any permits and adhering to what they were approved for. How can this be policed? I was notified by a resident of a particular applicant that was approved previously doing work on the home, and there were no noticeable permits displayed. What was further very upsetting to me was once I called Lenny and notified Tina that one of the issues was the removal of a very old tree on town property. Tina did tell us they were approved to take down the tree, The 3 had to replace the 1. Who will monitor to make sure this was done? Also, it turns out that they were doing demolition inside the home without any permits. Once the Cranford Building Department came out, they got a big fat red sticker slapped on their house. Thank you, Lenny, for following up so quickly. That red sticker was issued within a day. I am thinking that possibly, not sure about this, the property maintenance officer that we're taking care of now might be able to handle that. So maybe someone could advise, we cannot have people just doing whatever they feel like it without the proper documents. They must be observed before they start so they can be monitored beginning to end. I also have another observation was made after, at our last council meeting. Councilman McCormick and I noticed that when the meeting started, the Casale parking lot was empty. When the meeting was over, this was right before the storm, the lot was packed. What is going to happen once the building starts? Where are those residents going to park? Is there any town-owned property that can be used? What is going to happen with this? Nobody?
Councilman
I
Sarno, the parking.
mean, the parking committee has discussed it, and there isn't like a silver bullet update right now.
For the,
And you were there with me, I mean, in some of the meetings, I mean, it's, we understand the challenges ahead of us.
because the parking lot was packed. Getting
No, I'm
ready for
aware
the
of that.
storm. And the other one, I mean, that's gonna be what's gonna be. What I'm concerned about is the other people going forward with variances, no permits. I mean, can property maintenance do that?
Well, I thought that was a great question you raised. I don't know. I don't know if that would really be in their purview or not.
Well, we have to find out.
Mr. Nod might know.
Zoning?
Well, I mean, if you have somebody who's doing construction without a permit, it's a construction official issue.
But Cranford,
But somebody has to call it to somebody's attention. I mean, just like if your next door neighbor is doing work with no permit, the chances of somebody from the town coming along and noticing it is probably not that great. I mean, somebody has to call it in, that's just the way it is,
And there's gotta be a different way of doing it, because like I said, they were doing demolition inside this house. So, I mean, that sticker was on there the next day. They didn't get any permits. There's gotta be a way to go from the planning board, whether it's to council, whether it's the proper authority, so they know that you've got a non-conforming use variance, you're gonna be doing demolition, you need a permit. I mean, it's gotta have a beginning and an end.
Well, whether it goes to the planning board or not, if you're doing, first of all, it depends. I mean, I'm not absolutely sure whether every demolition of every single thing requires a permit, but assuming that you're correct, that they were doing demolition and probably construction and got red stickered, somebody's got to call it to the attention of the construction office.
I'm thinking there might be a way to streamline the whole thing, so we're on top of it.
Well, unless, I mean,
Can we handle that laws and license? I think maybe we can, no?
I mean, you need a body.
You're absolutely
You
right.
have to have
It's
a
a
body,
matter of-
somebody driving around town and
It's gotta
looking.
be a phone call to be made.
Right.
But everybody's not catching everything. There's just.
You're not going, it gets caught at the end of the day when you do a
It's
sale,
gonna be
right?
caught at the reevaluation, I bet.
That too.
It's gonna be caught at the reevaluation, when they don't have permits and they're doing things in their home.
Yeah, but they're doing stuff in their home that quite possibly
I'm
is
just
not safe.
adding
Right, so there's no
Could it be,
end.
I mean, no, I don't have an answer, I just have a question that might lead to an answer, who knows? So the property maintenance officer, that's not something that we could add as their responsibility? Because if they're technically going to be walking around looking to make sure that properties are properly maintained, wouldn't they probably by chance notice if there was construction going on to a house, that therefore it was needed to have a permit, and then they could call the construction company?
Well, sure, you could assign it to anybody, but I mean, if everybody is picturing that this, unless you're planning on hiring somebody full-time to walk around town on a daily basis and look in everybody's windows and see what they're doing, I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen.
This doesn't fall under the zoning enforcement officer's duties? I mean, I've seen their, I'm
Almost
taking a look at their.
everything that you have is done on the basis of complaints. In fact, it's not just in Garwood, although you have fewer employees than other towns, but I mean, does it happen sometimes the DPW is driving around and they'll call the police or the building official and say, hey, it looks like this guy at this street is doing something? I mean, you have to have you know, presumably eyes and ears, but it's not like it's somebody in particular's job. We don't have a person whose job is to walk around town and look for
Right, we
things
could
that are
obviously tell the
wrong.
property maintenance officer, hey, if you notice this, could you please?
Right,
blah, blah,
just
blah.
like you could ask the DPW,
Right,
you know,
of
as you're
course.
going around, if you
That
see
makes
that
sense.
there's demolition going on and you don't see a permit in the window, you know, give somebody a call and we'll, you know, we'll have them look at it.
I don't like that answer. I'll have to think about it for everything. Because I think it's gotta be monitored. You can't go from the planning board to here and then it just goes out the window.
I think in terms of parking, I'm gonna have a parking committee meeting soon, in the next couple of weeks here. Mayor's, glad to put himself on the committee, which is nice, so we have a full committee, what we'll do is we'll discuss that.
Yeah, because it's gonna be important, especially going forward.
Actually, you made me think of something. He prepared the property maintenance ordinance for
Right.
your review. Is it ready yet? Should I act on it yet?
No, no.
I believe it needs to go to the council to
Yeah,
review
we
first.
haven't, yeah, we haven't
I
brought it to
did
the
forward
council.
it to you, didn't I?
Yeah, but it
Bob,
wasn't
didn't you
this,
finish that and give it to me?
I finished it, I gave it to you.
Yeah.
but the last meeting was
Forward it
finance.
to the full council for review.
But
There
it
was
was-
two ordinances, weren't there two?
There was two.
Well,
There
the other
was
one was
banks and there
defense.
was this one, but we haven't had a regular council meeting. The last meeting
I
was
forwarded it
finance.
to the full council though.
Huh?
Because I thought they were done and ready for your review for, just like the one he just did with the, industrial sewer charges. So I
Well, we
forwarded.
haven't had a real full
Okay,
council
so they're
meeting.
not ready. Just remember to let me know when they're ready, so
Well, we're gonna bring it to the council next.
I got to introduce them. Just tell me when you want me to do that, right?
We can do that at the next council meeting.
Oh, so then they're done. The way Mr.
But
Nardi.
council hasn't discussed it finally. Don't they have to discuss it again?
No, you all saw it, you got the email, if you have questions, I guess you should ask the attorney, but the process is that he directed him to prepare an ordinance. He
Right.
Prepared it. I forwarded it to you, now you have to tell me to put it on the agenda. I don't just put it on the agenda. I
Oh,
wait
I
for you
forgot
to
that
tell
little
it.
step.
I can make a suggestion. If the council has any questions or comments about it now, they can ask now. Otherwise, we can have the discussion at the next council meeting, or we can decide right now to move these to be introduced at our next council meeting. So,
Can I ask Laws and License if we could discuss it at the following council meeting, just so I could take a better look at it?
that's fine.
All right, then move that forward that way.
We'll just discuss it in workshop at the next meeting, and then if we are all in agreement, we can make a movement on that in April for introduction and then adoption,
Yes.
if so be it.
Anything else? I don't think so. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilman Lazaro?
Nothing from me, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman McCormick?
I had nothing, but I really have something now. And I don't, what I want to say is I don't sit here and disagree or agree with people. What I'm saying is coming from my heart and what I heard from constituents. So it's not personal when we agree or disagree on something. It's something that we do at council. That's what I want to say. It's nothing personal. It's a voice. You're hearing all the voices. They tell you, they ask you, here I am. So that's what I'm saying. So it's nothing other. I hope that makes any type of sense here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Sarno?
Oh, nothing from me, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Tedesco?
Well, I've had some long reports the last couple meetings, so I really don't have anything, but I too want to just thank the police department, DPW, fire department, OEM, and first aid squad for all their efforts during this recent storm. I found out from the police chief that it took up until this past Sunday night to get the whole town restored with power. Although the vast majority had power before then, there were still homes waiting for power on Sunday night, and again, thank you for all your efforts and the neighbors that pitched in and communicated with one another and helped each other out. It meant a lot, and it goes a long way. Councilman McCormick, for your statement earlier, I agree with you. I certainly feel the same way, that it really isn't personal. It shouldn't be personal either. Let's discuss things. We can agree, we can disagree, and let's look at the facts, look at the evidence, and listen to the people. And unfortunately, you can't talk to all 4,200 residents all the time, but certainly you hear things, and we all bring it forward. So that's why we're all elected, and thank you for that.
Thank you. Public comment, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone, State your full name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Jim Matthew, 335 Hazel, this may work. I just got a few questions here. Where is everyone on the RFP for the reval? And is the 0% tax increase, is that inclusive of all costs for the revaluation?
The reevaluation, we just got a quote from a company that we're looking into. We have solicited Goriella's firm to do tax maps.
We can't hear.
I'm sorry. We basically have received a document from the office telling us the cost of the reval, and for us to review that. And also prior to that, we did bring on Goriella's firm to do the tax maps.
Okay, so the
So we're in the-
RFP's out there right now?
No, we're just getting information to us to explain the process and how much.
And the 0% increase for this year on the municipal side, does that include all the costs of the reval?
The revaluation will be paid for by special emergency appropriation, spread over 5 years in an operating budget. And that was something that we need the price tag for before we can move forward on that. And it's not an item that you can prepare for until it happens. So that's why you can't put away capital dollars and so forth.
Okay.
However,
That's how it's financed.
I did send you an estimate. You need
Yes.
the money in place because you got it frozen. So it's just a resolution, so can we talk about that tonight, please? So we can get that resolution on the next agenda?
If you'd like to.
Okay, so you got that, you know the estimate that I provided you, you know it won't be more than that, because now I'm out there with the other firms. There's only 6 firms in the state of New Jersey that are able to provide this service. I'm with all 6 firms. I have a March 28th deadline for receiving them. So, you know it won't be more than that number, including the tax maps. You have to put the money together. You have to do that. No, can you tell me to go ahead and do that? I gave you the estimate.
Do
Any
you
email.
want us to do this now or in the middle of public comment?
And what is that estimate? Do we have that number?
113 and change.
113. Can I have my time back, or am I?
Sorry.
Is it
No,
not
I'm
public
sorry.
comment?
I'm sorry, Mr. Matthews.
So I just want to make a statement then. So we're celebrating the 0% tax increase, and we have a reval, the cost of which we do not know yet. Just want to make that comment. The other thing is, wow, how disturbing that was, looking from back there. The way I understood it, and I don't think you counted votes properly, Mayor. Councilman Lazaro said he wasn't opposed to looking at something else for the Fanwood agreement. So I think it was 4-2, all right? And what I heard is a bunch of people really being very defensive over the agreement, and 3 people saying, let's see if we can find a better deal. If you can't find a better deal, then I would put to each one of the 3 people saying, look for something, hey, you better vote for Fanwood. What's the harm in going out and looking to see if we can find a better deal? That was just really bizarre from the audience side. And I defy you to find something. I'm not talking about costs. There is no commitment from Fanwood. All there is a statement that says the DPW chief can use the equipment of either borough in the other borough at his or her discretion. That's all it says. So don't only look at the cost, look if you can actually get a commitment from Cranford or Westfield or Roselle Park or, I don't know, Clark. Please, okay? And I only saw one side up here making it political. Just want to remind everybody, we're not Democrats and Republicans up here. We all have to come together to work for the good of Garwood. And I see too often things break down the party lines up here. It's not good for the borough, okay? The other thing is, what happened to Councilwoman Koukaro's resolutions on affordable housing? I was really looking forward to the votes on them. Where are they? You had a number of resolutions that you brought up a couple of meetings ago, and I wanted to see, are they in the laws and license? When do you plan to bring them out to the council?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
The Holly Shapizi meeting?
Oh, we don't have it yet. We don't have it yet.
Do you have a timeline of when you're
As
going
a matter of fact, I emailed him again during the week, and he said he's working on it, he'll get it to me as soon as he can.
Okay, so him is,
Her assistant.
okay, and they're drafting resolutions for you to propose to the
A
Garwood Borough
sample.
Council?
Yes, a sample.
Okay, and you don't have a timeline on that?
I've been waiting for it for, see, I forgot all about it already. It's over a month.
Okay, well, I urge you not to forget about it. It's an important issue, Councilwoman. And
I
I
know
would
that,
like
Mr.
to,
Zaki.
excuse me, I'm not done. And I would like to see that voted on here by the council and have everybody up here declare themselves on these issues. Everyone says they want to solve COA, but I don't see anyone doing anything about it. So please don't let this slip through the cracks. I would like to see those resolutions brought up.
Oh, I will make sure it won't,
I
Mr.
thank you very
Matthew.
much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor Lombardo, thank you, gentlemen of the council. Bruce Patterson, 325 Little Avenue. I'll just speak loud. Right. Ill. Anyway, no, Rich McCormick, I mean, you know, I was one of those that actually clapped when Rich said, isn't this the process of something that the council should do when it comes to possibly looking at other prices for various contracts. I mean, you know, just to throw out some, I mean, we have the legal contract that we do every year, the engineering contract, the planning board has contracts they do every year, the recycling contract, when it comes up, you actually go out for RFP. So, I mean, this is not something unnatural, it's fairly normal. Now we have another major contract, the shared services coming up. It sure, to me, it sure sounds like, being this is a major contract, that it really should be looked into as to going out for a possible other town to share services with. I mean, to me, you know, I heard that, you know, nobody really complained about things for the last 3 years. I didn't hear much about it either. The cost savings that Councilor Tedesco said, it really isn't true. That 200,000 is not true because then you hired more people afterwards, so that went by the wayside. So I mean, you know, there's some misstatements, there's some evasiveness. Mark Lazaro seems to be an evasive guy when it comes to certain contracts. I also remember Hartman Park about the maintenance and what are we going to do about moving forward. The maintenance that failed in the last couple of years at Hartman Park, and he just wanted to move forward. Let's not look back. That's not good. It's not good. You guys are elected up here, and it's a hard job. I understand that. But you're supposed to be doing a hard job. So I guess Rich again said, you know, you're elected, and Sarah agreed. You know, we elected you people to do this hard job. Contracts come up, maybe, you know, let's look at it again. I mean, was it successful? It was reasonably successful, but still, maybe it could be more successful. Maybe other towns will just say, get out of here, we're not going to do any shared services, and you'll end up in Vanwood anyway. So, I mean, you know, but it is interesting that something maybe should be looked at. It's a major contract, shared services, so that's my comment on that. Oh yeah, one other thing about the shared service. So now Scotch Plains is sharing service with Vanwood. I've mentioned that months ago, that they signed a contract. And the interesting thing there is Scotch Plains is having a shared service. Scotch Plains is actually doing Fanwood's parks, the maintenance of Fanwood's parks. So I mean, if you're going to look at the possible shared service contract, maybe you should be able to be tweaking it a little bit, to our advantage, of course. The trees were mentioned. Actually, the street sweeper was mentioned. I just left the county budget hearing. It's a hearing of the budget among the directors and the financial committee of the county, and it's always interesting what they're talking about. $500 million budget, of course, you know, that's eye-opening. But Director Graziano, he's the DPW facilities director. He was talking about street sweeping 170 miles of county roads. And I guess South Avenue is a county road, but it's not like I was looking for it, but I haven't seen a street sweeper actually on the county road in South Avenue. Has anybody seen it? All right, the next question is, now North Avenue is a state road. Who does a street sweeping on that? State. Have we ever seen a responsible? Have we seen a street sweeper on the? I've seen them. Have you really?
5:30 in the morning, come on out.
Street sweeper more on North and South.
I'm retired. God bless you.
Yeah. And trees, yeah, I just want to bring up trees, like I said, I went to the hearing, and they mentioned that 6 towns, actually, the county will trim and remove trees at no cost. Which is interesting, I know, you've asked for the help from the county, I don't know what the answer was from them, but, they actually,
You said 6 towns?
yeah, 6 towns. Cranford, Elizabeth, Roselle Park, Scotch Plains, of course.
Okay.
That's an issue of my own. I forgot what the other 2 were. Yeah, I guess that's it, but I did clap when I heard that, maybe the council should actually do a hard job. Thank you.
Mr. Patterson, can I ask,
What?
the county removing trees in other towns, were they on county roads or where were these trees?
Yeah, they didn't go into depth. This is just a budget hearing as to cost, and he just gives, Director Graziano just gives accomplishments and goals and such like that. And that was just one of the
Could that have been during the storm times? Because
No,
as we all know, I work for the county, it's no secret.
Yeah.
And I do work next to the tree division, and I know of no contract with other communities to do cut and trims for nothing.
Yeah, they didn't say it was due to the storm. They did talk about something separately, but they didn't talk about those 6 towns. But yeah, that'd be great if you could look into that.
No,
just
I'm
to
gonna
see.
look into that, it's not an issue, but as far as I know, that the only assist communities when they have to storm damage and things like that.
Yeah, no, this was outside.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could later on at the end of the public comment, Mr. Patterson's questions and comments. Thank you.
Can I move this out? Yes. Thank you, sir. This way I can,
Now, does it work?
There you go.
this way here I can get a nice view of everybody up here. Good evening, Mayor and Council, Al Del Conte,
You have to put your mouth right next to it.
545 Locust Avenue,
Take it out of the thing.
Garwood. Good evening.
Sir?
Good evening. I would like to thank Councilwoman Blumenstock for working on that street sweeping for me. I've been complaining about it for years. 4 times is better than once. Thank you again for that. And I do see the county sweeping South Avenue, and I do see the state sweeping North Avenue. When the state comes through, they come through with a fleet of trucks protecting the street sweeper. Let's touch on a bucket truck now that we solved the street sweeper issue. Right down the street from Councilman McCormick, the road is blocked off because we have a large branch hanging in the tree. It's been there for at least a week that I've noticed it, and as of yesterday. I don't know if it's been removed yet.
It is.
Yes, it was?
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know who removed it. But the problem with the storm like we just had, with a lot of tree branches being broken, you're going to expect Family to give you a shared service on a bucket truck when they probably have a bigger problem than we do. So supply and demand, we're going to sit and wait for a truck. If we have our own, we could do our own work. Councilwoman Kudrow, since you've been on the council, you've heard me complaining and complaining about numerous things. Unless somebody complains, nothing gets done. Nobody looks for trouble in Garwood. Okay? Everybody rides around with blinders on. You know the things I complain about are very visible. Okay? But yet they do get taken care of once they're mentioned. So, building permits, construction work being done, that's kind of a, where do you go with that? But reviewing shared service, I know we have a couple of shared service agreements with Cranford on the building department, it's been for years. Westfield with the health department, it's been for years. We also had Cranford with the fire department doing inspections. And numerous other shared service agreements. Like Councilman McCormick said, We want to keep the vendors honest. So going out, checking on them, checking their proposals, getting bids from somebody else, not necessarily every single time, but every now and then it's good to keep an eye on them, because things can wander. Shared service agreement with the DPW, we all know that that's a very touchy situation. It's going to continue on being a touchy situation. Yes, we did save some money making that arrangement, making that change. Yes, we did hire another man for the workforce, so I think it's a total of 8, okay? But here again, in years past, Councilwoman Kukrow, you've been around. Councilman McCormick, you've been around. We've had 10 employees in the DPW. We only have 8 now, okay? We brought our police department up to where it was, 16. People complained about it when it was only 15. Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to start complaining about it. Our DPW is down 2 men from where they used to be. Okay? And they do a lot more work than they used to do. Okay? With the athletic field complex and so on. So, give the men a lot of credit for what they do. I don't think there's anybody in this room, including myself, that works outside 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Walking in the rain, walking in the snow, okay? That's a hard job. They don't get to stop for a cigarette break. They don't sit behind a desk answering a telephone and go out and get a cigarette break. They work in a snowstorm. They work in a blizzard, okay? Sit behind the wheel of the truck for an 8-hour shift, 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, and plow snow. That feeling I know because I do it. I do it because I love it. I enjoy doing it. These guys, it's their job, okay? They probably don't have the same feeling of it that I do. At least I know a couple of them do. So they need the manpower, they need the help. So let's see if we can get that DPW crew back to where they belong, back to where they used to be. Everybody always talks about the way Garwood used to be, okay? The DPW used to be a workforce of 10. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a minute and a half this time.
I don't make 15 seconds worth of good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening, Bruce Patterson, 325 Will Avenue. We forget that actually the DPW used to always pick up bulk also. A long time ago, it was once a week and then it went twice a month. But I mean, that was a major job for them. And that's the possibility of why we have 8 now and not 10. So something tells me that we really should have 10, but not the determined numbers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, before you move on, if the public is done, I want to apologize on the record to Mr. Mackey for interrupting him, but his comments reminded me that I gave you what you asked me to get you regarding this revow. I need you to give me authorization now to put this money in place because I don't want to be held accountable if this thing doesn't get done. And I've reminded you, I think, and I've given you everything you wanted. It's going to cost you no more than $128,455. I got you an estimate, but I'm getting them formally from all.
Put that into the budget, and if it comes in lower, that's good.
Let me finish, that's not my decision, I just want to give the information, okay? So you know it won't be more than that, because if the other ones come in higher, you have this one as the lowest. $15,000 for the tax maps. But my recommendation is not to make it too much higher, because these people look at what you're funding, and they'll give you a proposal based on what you're. So you know it's not going to cost you any more than $113,445. $15,000 for the tax maps. Mr. Renard, do you know if there are any other costs involved in this procedure that we should be aware of?
Not off the top of my head, but you should check with the assessor.
Okay, I will do that. So I'm thinking about 135, 140. Would it be okay for me to move forward, Mr. Korecki, and get that resolution on the next agenda?
Do we have that?
Yes, that would be absolutely fine.
Go forward
I
with that?
believe
Thank
that's
you.
what we were anticipating, and we have it.
Yeah, I thought we discussed that
Right,
previously.
so that's a 5-year special emergency. note. And so I'm under the understanding that would be raised starting in next year's budget, but we can also find out about that.
Councilwoman, you want to say a few words?
Yes, thank you. All right, just taking some notes here so I don't forget, hopefully. And actually, Mr. Del Conte made one of my points about the notion of hiring more people. The staffing at the DPW and the shared service agreement with Fanwood do not go hand in hand. They should not be made to go hand in hand for the exact point he made. I can't go back before 2003 too much, but I do know that on my research that pre-2003 there were 8 full-time laborers at the DPW as well as a number of seasonal workers. And then once they made a full-time superintendent, they reduced the labor force down to 7, but also still kept 3, 4, 5, etc. Seasonal workers. It was a couple of years ago in reviewing that the council, the majority anyway, moved forward with removing seasonal help as a savings to the budget, but adding that 8 labor. But as Mr. Del Conte pointed out, that's still not really restoring the DPW in the same way that, say, the police department was when it was 16 men, brought down to 15, and then raised back up to 16. So this really should be viewed as a restoration effort towards the DPW. It doesn't go hand in hand with the shared service. As far as the concept of tweaking the shared service, because they're in the agreement with Scotch Plains, that's exactly right. Sure, they're getting additional service from Scotch Plains, so why can't Garwood benefit from this? And I am under the understanding that Council President Blumenstock had spearheaded that as a way of getting more for Garwood. And so that's why we can now have street sweeping written into the contract. The reason it actually has to go into the contract, as one resident pointed out, there's a line in the contract that says equipment can go between the towns at the discretion of the superintendent of public works, but it doesn't speak about the labor force. And so in this additional bonus to our agreement, we would not only have the equipment, but Fanwood laborers coming to Garwood to take care of the street sweeping. To just stay on the DPW for a minute, Mr. Del Conte brought up the equipment over there, and I think it's really important, his point about, say, the bucket truck. And our superintendent of public works has told us this since day one. They have 1 bucket truck. Sure, Fanwood's the priority, but if they can help us out, they do. And they certainly have with holiday decorations, etc. But our superintendent has also had a bucket truck on our 5-year capital plan ever since he became our superintendent, and right now it's projected for 2020. The cost of that is approximately $150,000. The year after on our 5-year capital plan, he also has a vacuum street sweeper to the amount of about $240,000. So you can see here that having that written into the contract is a huge savings. Also, that's letting us know that if we want to have, for example, a sweeper here, and we can use it at any time that the men are available to use it, we're talking about purchasing a piece of equipment for $240,000. So I wanted to get those on the record. And the last thing about the county and the tree help, this has been something that, as Mr. Patterson pointed out, I worked on this a number of times with Union County, with their shared services coordinator and others, and pretty much they said, we'd love to help you, but we have so much work in Union County, to the mayor's point earlier, we just simply can't. I think maybe they've helped us out in a pinch on occasion if they could, as have other towns, but ultimately they can't help us or commit to some kind of agreement between the county and Garwood for tree maintenance. So, thank you.
Yes. May I say something now? I'd like to talk to everybody about Mr. Del Conte's comments. First off, I'd like to say that I think every town around Garwood should be envious because we people of Garwood, we honor our DPW higher than anybody else that works for this municipality. I mean, we cherish these people. We do everything to defend these people. If I had to work for the police department, the fire department, the DPW in Garwood, I'm taking the DPW because you people stand behind us. With that said, that's a positive thing, by the way. Mr. Del Conte, you were talking about, just questioning you about trees down by my house specifically, and if we had a bucket truck, the DPW could take care of that. I'd like to go back and say, I would much rather sub that out to a tree expert to get rid of that tree, do with the power lines, the cable lines, so on and so forth, and free up our DPW workers to do something other. So that's my comment to that. I think the rest of it is okay, that, what you said, but I just wanted to make that out that we value our DPW people. That's what I heard on the campaign trail. We didn't talk about the police department, sorry. We talked about the DPW. That's what they wanted to talk about. So we value our DPW, so that's it, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I also, if I may, I just, to Mr. Belcanti's point about the hanging trees, I just wanted to let everybody know, they will be taken care of in the next day or two. We do, because we don't have a bucket truck, we do have to contract out, and they are on top of it, and they will be taken care of.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to step to the microphone? Seeing none at this time, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Shall we move forward, council? All rise for a moment of silence and salute to the flag, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice of the meeting was invited to the Westfield Leader, advertised on January 4th, 2018. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger, promptly posted on the Municipal Public Bulletin Board, and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk, informing the public of the time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, L, 1975. Ms. Ariana, roll call, please.
Mayor Lombardo?
Here?
Councilman Kukrow?
Here.
Councilman Lazaro?
Here.
Councilman McCormick?
Here.
Councilman Sarno?
Here.
Councilman Tedisco?
Here.
And Council President Blumenstock?
Here.
Ms. Ariana, minutes?
Regular workshop and executive session minutes of the mayor and council held on February 27, 2018.
Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Ariana, communications?
New Jersey State League of Municipalities, Mayor's Advisory,
Receive and file.
Westfield Township Proposed Housing Plan,
Receive and file.
Westfield Township Ordinances,
Receive and file.
Westfield Township Ordinances,
Receive and file.
City of Linden Resolution,
Receive and file.
and Roy Valley Sewage Authority meeting about the meeting.
Receive and file. Ordinances. Public hearing on bond ordinance 18-03 as advertised in the Westfield Leader. Ms. Ariana, please read the ordinance by title only.
Yes, Mayor.
1803.
Bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of the structural stabilization project at the Michael R. Concolli Recreation Building in, by, and for the Borough of Berwick, in the county of Union, state of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $50,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Ms. Ariana, received any correspondence?
None there.
Does anyone present wish to be heard on ordinance 18-03? Seeing none, do I have a motion to close public hearing on ordinance 1803?
Second?
Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 1803?
Second.
Discussion.
In case anyone doesn't know, I mean, this is again to go to the repairs of our recreation facilities at the athletic field, and specifically Michael Concolli Field.
Roll call, Ms. Ariana.
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Lazaro.
Aye.
Councilman McCormick.
Yes.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Tedisco.
Aye.
And Council President Blumenstock.
Aye.
Thank you, council. Council standing committee reports and other reports. Police, Councilman Sarno.
Thank you, Mayor. Last Wednesday's nor'easter had a significant impact on the East Coast, including Barlow. The police department dispatch center answered over 240 calls, including 74 from the 911 line between noon and 8 o'clock alone. The Garwood Police Department, along with the fire department and DPW, responded to 64 downed wires, including 4 live power lines on the ground and 20 reports of fallen tree limbs. At one point, the storm caused the closing of 5 roadways, including 200 block of North Avenue, due to a utility pole leaning into the roadway and a loss of power to an estimated 200 homes on the north side of the borough. I'm happy to inform you that there were no reported injuries or fatalities as a result of this incident. The storm provided a good reminder that the best way to stay informed during an emergency is following the PD on Mixel or Twitter. This Saturday is St. Patrick's Day. The Broward Police Department would like to remind everyone that it is much harder to celebrate the holiday from a jail cell. Please don't drink and drive. You know, and again, I think all of us have echoed the great work done by our police department and all the other first responders, and I want to say thank you along with that. That's my
Very
report.
good. Thank you, Council. Public Health, Councilman McCormick.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Streets and Roads Ecology, Council President Blumenstock.
Thank you, Mayor. It's obviously been a busy time for the DPW. Public Works employees worked a total of 124 man-hours of time and a half for snow removal during and after the nor'easter on March 7th to the 8th. They de-iced all borough streets and parking lots before the storm, as well as all borough sidewalks and school crossings. They also plowed all borough streets, parking lots, and borough-owned sidewalks, and plowed roads that were closed due to fallen power lines once lines were removed by PSE&G. The department also began to cut and remove down branches and shade trees from the nor'easter along all borough streets within the right-of-way. They've begun to prune damaged shade trees and to chip brush placed along curbside along all south side borough streets. This will obviously continue in the coming days. That's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Fire, Councilman McCormick.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. From the fire department, we have 10 incidents, 9 day calls, 1 night. We have 8 alarm activities. We have 1 smoke condition, 1 order of gas, 2 mutual aids, 1 in Roselle, 1 in Clark. That's a total of 4 hours. We have which we attended, the dinner for the retired fire department, so Westfield covered us for that day. So all alarms, we have a total of 307 man-hours. We have meetings for 20 men, 30 hours. And they did a drill. And it was a bloodborne Pathgons, hazmat, awareness training and review. And they had point discussions, and it was a lecture, questions and answered by Gene Kabliska. And that was 24 men, 72 hours. Extra duty, driving, training, 8 men, 13 hours. With that said, I want to add something that's not given to me. Something I'm probably going to say time in and time again. I can't tell you enough how important this fire department is to Garwood. So today we had a car fire in Garwood at a local resident. One of our fire people was rushed to the hospital for smoke. But with that said, it's during the day, and we have retired people, maybe somebody off from their job, time out, but they respond to these things. And again, I'm included in this when I say this. We take for granted our fire department. So I just want to keep reaching out, and I will continue to say this, that our fire department is awesome in this town. So I just want to make that clear, so thank you. That's my end for my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Finance, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thank you, Mayor. The 2018 municipal budget was presented at our special budget meeting last week. As I mentioned at that meeting on March 6th, the council has a $0 flat budget, which is the first municipal budget without any tax increase in the last 17 years. It will continue to provide the residents with top-notch services and even includes funds for the newly hired parking enforcement officer and the position of property maintenance enforcement officer, which is under review by the council as an updated property maintenance ordinance will be presented to the council in the near future, as we discussed earlier. A discussion about capital item requests at the special budget meeting indicates that the council is supportive of a mason dump for the DPW, a supervisor vehicle for the police department, a much-needed new roof above the firehouse, HVAC work here at Borough Hall, hence why it's always very cold or very hot in here, and records management. The Finance Committee and the council as a whole took the matter of needs versus wants very seriously when making this decision. Again, I want to thank the rest of the Finance Committee and our professional staff for all their time and hard work on this year's budget. The proposed March 20th special budget meeting was canceled by a unanimous decision of the council as the operating and the capital budgets were both discussed at the March 6th meeting. However, the Finance Committee will still be holding an informal breaking down the budget session here at Borough Hall this Thursday, March 15th, where we will be providing some light refreshments. We hope to see many residents there this Thursday night to get your thoughts out there to us about what should be prioritized and so forth. And also we'll be providing some information and try to answer any questions that you have about the budget or capital items, and that's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Buildings and Grounds, Councilman Lazaro.
No report, Mayor.
Laws and License, Councilwoman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mayor. The adoption of resolution number 18-084 for the application of one on-premise 50/50 raffle license. Event to be held March 29, 2018 at Lincoln School, 400 2nd Avenue, Garwood, by the PTA of Garwood. Also, we will be having a laws and license meeting next Saturday. We haven't had one in a while, so we'll have a lot of stuff to discuss at that meeting. That's all for my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Recreation, Councilman Lazaro.
Thank you, Mayor. Along with the mayor, I met with the Recreation Commission member Jack Sullivan and Recreation Director Scott Kessler. We discussed a variety of issues such as recruitment of new members, commission responsibilities, and some of the concerns moving forward. It was made clear to me that the main responsibilities of the commission include upkeep of the turf field, purchase of equipment, facility rentals, and running of various programs such as the basketball program, recreational soccer, summer recreation, and annual senior breakfast. The summer recreation program is set to start on June 25th, and they're hopeful to be using the rec complex as their base this year. I've told them that if what we have been told by our architect and inspectors at Falcon holds true in terms of the timeline for the rec complex reopening, summer recreation will have no problems being held in this space. In the meeting, we also discussed netting for the outfield area to alleviate resident concerns. Jack Sullivan plans on providing a few quotes to figure out how much netting would cost, and I'll bring that information to the council when I get some of that information. The Recreation Commission also has purchased and received new steel soccer nets that just need to be put together. Finally, the commission brought up again the idea of purchasing vending machines that they would be responsible for maintaining to help increase revenue and provide food and drink options when concession stands are closed. We'll be meeting again with the full Rec Commission next Monday to further dive into these issues. Also, I want to also encourage, we do have still some openings on the Rec Commission. I want to encourage anybody who is interested in that to just contact me or the mayor. We're looking for people who would like to be involved in that. We definitely need some new people to get involved. So that's all for my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Garwood Senior Liaison, Council President Blumenstock.
No real report, Mayor. We just had a nice lunch and some fun games with bingo at our last meeting. So our next meeting is this Thursday, the 15th.
Did you win?
I never win. I'm the most unlucky at bingo ever.
That being said, Libraries Mayor Representative, Councilman Lazaro.
Thank you, Mayor. The Garwood Library programs for March include the Knitting Club every Monday and Thursday at 10:30, Kids Chess Monday in March at 3, Book Clubs on Monday, March 26th at 1 p.m., Design and STEM every Tuesday at 3 through March, Storytime every Wednesday at 10:30, Kids Craft Wednesday, March 21st at 3 p.m., the Lego Club March 15th and 22nd at 3 p.m., and Movie Time every Friday at 10 a.m. In addition, Pause to Read will return with Therapy Dogs on Saturday, March 17th at 10 a.m., and author Laura Sassy will visit Storytime on the 21st with her new book, Diva Dolores and the Opera House Mouse. The Garwood Library is open Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Fridays from 9 a.m. to 4:30, and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The library will be closed Friday and Saturday, March 30th and 31st. That's all for my report.
Thank you, Councilman. School Board Liaison, Councilman McCormick.
No, Mayor, not at this time. No meeting was scheduled before this one.
Thank you. Celebration of Public Events and Holidays Liaison, Councilwoman Kukrow.
The only thing I have, Mayor, is the Easter egg hunt is on Saturday. We will be starting to set up around 10 o'clock, 10:30. It will start at 12 o'clock. And that's pretty much it. I hope everybody can come. Thank you, Mayor.
If the mayor may ask if we start that program a few minutes later, he'll be running over from Home Depot.
Say that again?
I said the mayor is asking if we start the program about 5 after 12, because I'll be coming from Home Depot.
I have no problem.
Oh.
I don't-
Sunday, not Saturday.
No.
Huh?
We'll move on to Union County Air Traffic Noise Advisory Board Representative, Councilman McCormick.
Well, I'm actually excited because I received a letter from this committee. So I need to get it certified by Christina tonight, and then maybe I'll have a report after I attend my first meeting. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Special Review Committee, Councilwoman Tedesco.
No report, Mayor.
Historical Committee, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thank you, Mayor. The Historical Committee distributed the first edition of its newsletter to more than half of the town this past weekend, thanks to the efforts of its volunteers and the Garwood Girl Scout troop. The rest of the newsletters will be passed out door to door by the end of this upcoming weekend. Some copies are here this evening for anyone who wishes to take a copy, over there by Mr. Renaud. It has informative articles and pictures of the past and future activities of the committee, as well as an article about the history of Garwood's founding. Garwood will be celebrating its 115th anniversary on Monday, March 19th. We're very proud of our local history and our independence as a borough dating back to 1903. And that's all for my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Parking Committee, Councilman Sarno.
Thank you, Mayor, for joining the committee. We'll be replacing Lou Petrozelli from last year, and our meeting will be upcoming in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
Move on to officers' reports.
Zoning Code Enforcement Officer Lindy Stefano, monthly report for February 2018.
Do I have a motion to accept the officers' reports?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, move on to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone. State your full name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening. Ed Olenek, Hemlock Avenue. See, we got a lot of nice roads being paved, and the integrity of the patches is in question. You got 3 patches right on Center Street, and over in front of one of the houses, I believe it's on the corner of Locust. It looks like it's a shoddy job of topping, like it's way too thin and it erupted already. But there's a lot of paving going to go on with this waterworks that's going on. And I'd like to see somebody look after the integrity of putting these new streets back to what they were. And I don't mean gaps in between, because it's only going to lead to breaking up or humps or crannies. And the second thing I'd like to know about, is there a liaison with the Union Parks? Because it seems like Garwood's Unami Park is getting shortchanged in what they're getting in there. There's a lack of bleachers, stuff that's improvements. I don't see no improvement. If you go through parks like River Park there in Rahway, there's a lot of money being spent, and I don't see any money being spent in the Garwood Unami Park. I like that look. And the other thing I want to just question, is there any kind of movement on what they're going to do with Burger King over there?
It's ironic you mentioned that. There's a planning board meeting tomorrow night, and we'll be reviewing plans for Wendy's.
Wendy's?
Yes.
Okay. That's my question.
And second issue of the NAMI park equipment, I will research that and
Yeah.
make a report for next week.
Because like I said, over in Rahway, they built a whole stadium there,
Yeah.
And that was a slip in for Rahway itself, but we're all paying for that.
Thank you.
Okay, let's distribute it around.
And I can tell you that Mr. Dalconte's got your back on watching the street, so he reminds us that
They're
every
taking
night.
care of them.
Okay.
Those 3, they're taking care of them.
And Mayor, once you follow up on the Unami Park situation, if it takes a letter from the council and perhaps us attending on that rotating schedule of the freeholder meetings, I'm all for getting more from Union County, so.
Okay. We'll see where it brings us. Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Anyone else?
Hey, good evening, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. Council Bruce Patterson, 325 Willow Avenue. Mr. Renaud's right about, we have to keep our own eyes open as we go along. If there's egregious issues, to report it to the police or the zoning officer. I mean, he is right about that. We're all here to make our community nice and legal. But anyway, I walked past the rec complex the other day, and I guess there's safety sawhorses up and signs. The store must have knocked them all down, so I guess if somebody could just come over there and correct them properly. It's over where all the construction's going on. So anyway, it just needs to be straightened up a little bit. The freeholder meetings. I'll tell you, everybody should go to one of the budget hearings, because I just came from one. And unfortunately, there's one this Thursday at 5 o'clock, so I guess I'll be able to come to this one maybe a little late, like I did this meeting. But it is interesting. I mean, they have a $500 million, with a B, by the way, $500 million budget. And I go to these budget hearings. There's 3 of them every year. And I try to at least attend one, if not more, you know, just to hear what they have to say. And the county does do a lot. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Graziano of the DPW engineering facilities, you know, he was one of the reports. And I'll tell you, they're hard workers. DPW, on all levels, obviously, are hard workers. There's no doubt about that. He talked about thousands of work orders that he has to do and how many miles of road.
173 miles.
173, and oh yeah, and that street sweeper, he said 340 lane miles, which I guess is one side of it.
And there's 2 sweepers.
2 sweepers there. Well, tell them to come over to Garwood. But anyway, but they do a lot. You know, as to me, I'm always finding fault that $500 million is a lot of money. But you know, it is interesting that, and I'm just saying, if anybody ever gets a chance, you know, obviously not this year, but next year will be more budget hearings, just to attend it, to listen to their accomplishments and then their goals, and of course the expenditures and the overtime that they also spend. And you know, sometimes they want to hire more people, but it is nice, you know, and educational to see the workings of what a county government is all about. You know, what makes the county government. One thing about Director Graziano, he said that this last storm actually had more of an impact than Superstorm Sandy on the county. You know, as to, I think he said like $100,000 in overtime was spent, and how many trees, et cetera, et cetera. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but you know, he said this was actually worse than Superstorm Sandy has an impact on the county.
Just a small point, because the ground is so wet, the root systems tend to fall forward or fall backwards or whatever. And that's why there's a lot more work has been done by the tree service. Of course, snow plowing goes without saying.
But Councilwoman Tedesco has a great idea the last couple of years about a rotating schedule of council people coming to the Freeholder meetings. Councilman Lazaro was there at one of the last meetings, which was great. But I mean, I'm just saying, you know, not to get you involved more, but you should really come to these budget hearings. They are very interesting. And the public is invited. Nobody speaks. The public can't speak.
Okay.
But we can listen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll move on. The consent agenda, does anyone wish to amend the consent agenda this evening? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as printed?
I'll make that motion, sir.
Roll call, Ms. Ariano?
Councilman Kukrow,
Yes.
Councilman Lazaro,
Aye.
Councilman Torment,
Yes.
Councilman Sarno,
Aye.
Councilman Tedesco,
Aye.
and Council President Blumenstock. Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Ariano, do you have any resolutions deleted from the consent agenda this evening?
None, Mayor.
Okay, new business proclamations, National Poison Prevention Week, March 18th to 24th. And so noted before earlier the meeting, the National Nutrition Month, March 20th, March 2018. And payment of claims, Ms. Ariano.
Be resolved the following claims as approved be and the same are hereby ordered paid when properly signed and verified, and the payment of payrolls as listed is hereby confirmed and ratified.
Do I have a motion to adopt payment of claims?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Ariano.
Councilman Kukrow,
Yes.
Councilman Lazaro,
Aye.
Councilman Torment,
Aye.
Councilman Sarno,
Aye.
Councilman Tedesco,
Aye.
and Council President Blumenstock. Aye.
Ms. Ariano, the executive session resolution, please.
Closed session resolution authorizing the executive session for the purpose of discussing potential litigation concerning the Warwick Sports and Recreation Complex, contract negotiations concerning Warwick Valley Sewage Authority, and matters of attorney-client privilege relating to the government work with NJSA 10-4 closed session. Meetings open to the public, exclusion of public, subject to the matter. Whereas it's necessary for the mayor and council of Warwick Borough to conduct an executive session close to the public to discuss the above listed matters. Now therefore be resolved that the council of Borough hereby moves to go into executive session in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. for the purpose of discussing the subject stated above and be further resolved, the matters discussed in and minutes of the closed session shall be disclosed to the public when the reason for confidentiality no longer exists.
Do a motion to go to executive session?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Second?
Ms. Arietta, roll call?
Councilman Kukrow.
Yes.
Councilman Lazaro.
Aye.
Councilman McCormick.
Yes.
Councilman Sarno.
Aye.
Councilman Fitzgerald.
Aye.
Councilperson Blumenstock.
Aye.
Thank you,
There will be no action taken, and we're in this meeting.
Action will be taken?
Will not.
No.